Good morning and welcome to the December 2nd Technical Review Committee meeting. Our first item of business this morning is review and approval of the minutes from November 18. Do we have any corrections to the minutes from anyone? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Got a motion by Brandy. Do we have a second? Got a second?
Second.
All in favor,
Second.
please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Do we have any announcements this morning? Thank you. We'll move right into project review. We have some requests to continue, and we'll go ahead and take those first, just in case there's anyone here that's waiting for those particular items. Number 3, the Holly Grove subdivision. We have a request to continue to December 16. Can we have a motion?
Motion to continue.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have 2 seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, the motion is continued. This item is continued to Technical Review Committee meeting December 16, 2020 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. The next item, the Highway 283 commercial, we have a request to continue to the December 16, 2020 TRC meeting. Can we have a motion at the dais?
I'll make a motion to continue.
We have a motion to continue. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandy. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the December 16, 2020 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Care of our continuance request. Right into our project review. The first item is agenda item number 2, the Cook Wetland Fill and Bridge. It's been reviewed by Bob Baronti. Bob, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair. My name is Bob Baronti, B-A-R-O-N-T-I. Mr. Chair, this is a minor development order application submitted by Innerlight Engineering Corporation on behalf of Mary Catherine Cook, requesting to build a driveway across for a new single-family residence on .82 plus or minus acres. The property has a future land use of rural residential in the zoning district of Rural Village, and the parcel number is in your staff report. Mr. Chair, all outstanding comments have been resubmitted and addressed. Staff would recommend approval. The applicant is here, and if you have any further questions for him. If you have no questions for me, can I ask you to enter the staff report in the record, please?
Sure. So entered. Anyone have any questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll entertain the applicant's presentation.
Good morning. I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering, and I'm also here with Jim Martelli. Jim is on Zoom as well, and we would be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
It doesn't look like we have any outstanding comments on this.
There were none.
Anyone in the audience or on Zoom this morning have a question about this particular item? No hands in the audience, and I see no hands on Zoom. Do we have a recommended motion? I think we have a recommended motion to approve as presented. Do we have a motion at the dais?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise?
Aye.
Crystal, is that in opposition?
Yes, sir. From a little bit I can see, it looks like
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
it looks like it's gonna go over the drain field, and I need clarification for that, and I've not gotten that.
Then I think we need to speak to that right now.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise,
Jim, can you speak to that?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, good morning. Can you state your name for the record?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me via Zoom this morning. This is Jim Martelli, M-A-R-T-E-L-L-I, with Innerlight Engineering, and this request is simply for a driveway to a single-family residence. The house and the drain field and the septic system obviously will not be on top of each other. The drain field is actually installed already, and so the footprint, we have surveyed that drain field, and we have planned for the house to be obviously away from that. So just as a confirmation, we are not putting the house, or the applicant will not put the house over the drain field. But this particular request, just so we know, is for the driveway access that crosses two wetlands, and one's a bridge and one's a culvert crossing. And we do already have a permit approval from the regulatory agencies from the state and federal governments.
Thank you, Jim. Crystal, does that speak to your concern?
We were not concerned about the house being over that, our site plan, from what it looked like, the map that I saw, the site plan I saw, it looked like the driveway was gonna be over the drain field, and they can't drive over the drain field.
No, we're not, there's no driveway over a drain field. The drain field's located actually south of the house, and our entire driveway is north of the house. So I'm not sure where
That's from what I saw, I couldn't tell that, but that's fine if that's the case.
Okay.
Does that change your vote, Crystal?
Yes, sir.
So it appears we have unanimous approval now. Thank you. We're always concerned that environmental has all of their questions asked, and we won't move it forward if we still have environmental questions. So thank you for resolving that for us, Jim and David. Thank you, Crystal, for pointing that out. In confirmation, this item got a unanimous vote, and it has been approved to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Bob. We'll move to item number 5, the Twin Palms subdivision. This is a major development. It's been reviewed by Tim Brown. Tim, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, good morning. This is a major development order application submitted by Anderson Engineering requesting approval to develop a 25-lot single-family residential subdivision with pool amenity and associated infrastructure on 5.08 acres with the future land use of residential and the zoning of neighborhood infill. All comments for this project have been resolved. There's no remaining comments, so I recommend approval of the project and moving it forward to the Planning Commission. With that, I'll turn it over to the applicant, and I would ask that the staff report be entered into the record.
So entered. We'll be happy to hear from the applicant. Thank you, Tim.
Morning, guys. My name is Brian Osborne, OSB ORN with Anderson Engineering. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
The proposed sidewalk buyout, where is that?
We have submitted that buyout For the most part, we're requesting that some of the sidewalks throughout the subdivision be bought out.
One side of the residential street, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, for the most part, the main street that goes through there, the West Walton Palm Road, for the most part, where we can put sidewalks on both sides of the road, we're still putting sidewalks on both sides of that road. There's a portion at the very southwest corner where the neighbor's detention pond would be in conflict, so we did not put a sidewalk on that side. But we have been in touch with them at the request of Public Works as far as access and coordinating all that with them.
Any members of the Technical Review Committee have any questions about this particular application?
No.
Seeing none, this item will get a public hearing at the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners. On schedule for those items. Anyone in the audience or on Zoom have a technical question or comment about this particular item? If so, raise your hand or come forward to the podium. See no one in the audience. There are no hands raised on Zoom. Have a recommended motion, Tim?
Approve the project and move it forward to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Do we have a motion of the dais?
Motion.
Motion to approve by Brandy as submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? None. This item is approved. Move forward. Next item on our agenda this morning is item number 6, the Tanglewood 30A Shops. This is a minor development reviewed by Tim Brown. Tim, if you can briefly introduce it for us.
Yes, thank you. This is a minor development or application submitted by Nautilus Civil Engineers requesting approval to develop a 6,500 square foot commercial building with associated infrastructure on .8 acres with a future land use of commercial and a zoning of neighborhood commercial. There's outstanding comments from planning, environmental, engineering, and public works. With that, I will turn it over to the I've handed out public comments we've received on this project. And with that, I'll hand it over to the applicant, and I'd ask that the staff report be entered into the record.
Thank you, Tim. Staff report is entered into the record. Happy to hear from the applicant.
Good morning, Curtis Smith with Nautilus Civil Engineers. The comments we received on this, we just saw the engineering comments last night, and this is actually the first we're seeing the environmental and the other ones. So I think it's pretty clear that we're going to need to continue to kind of dig through these comments. We would like to, if you would entertain it, we also just got all these public comments, so we would like you to still open the floor for public comment just so we can figure out what the concerns are, so we try to address all those. There is one particular engineering comment that I came prepared to discuss and kind of hand out some things on, which is the parking dimensions. It may be that we do that next time since we're going to continue it. I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and hand you guys the what I had printed out to discuss that. But I think we'll wait on that until next time. Essentially, that one was that We use 19-foot stripe spaces on this one in lieu of 20-foot striped because we're providing a significant amount of overhang on these. The Land Development Code was updated in the 2019 updates specifically for situations such as this where ITE code could drive. So I think we'll have a conversation with Dewberry and then we'll present that at the next meeting. Is Bill still the correct person to talk to on that, or?
No, Dewberry was not a part of the review team on this project.
I believe the comments I saw online were from Dewberry. Okay, great. Okay, we'll talk about that then. I guess I'm just going to leave it at that since we have so many comments. We'd like to go ahead and continue, but we would like to get the public comment now.
Okay, thank you. One point I'm going to make, which will probably be echoed from the public comments. I have a concern about Tanglewood Drive and the ownership of that street and the ability of this project to access it. Years ago, and this is a unique plat, and we're going to review this with our attorney just to remind ourselves of what the issues were years ago. But I think this is a circumstance where this plat, was the public area or the streets were never dedicated to the public.
Right.
And that meant that the ownership of those streets was retained by the original subdivider. And there is an heir that is the owner of record of these streets. Because years ago, we had she attempted to pull a building permit in the middle of a street. And claiming it as a lot of record. I think we had a determination that it was not a lot of record. But honestly, I don't remember all of the details of that. I just remember it was a big deal.
I recall from the survey as well, potentially the title work, but I recall this actually being shown as a right-of-way on the survey. So I was assuming that this particular piece was part of one of the easements or the the 33-foot easement areas. So I'll take a look at that as well.
And I'm not sure about that. I don't think so. But those are some good things to research and confirm. And I can't remember if this particular parcel is part of the plat or not. I don't think it is. But I hadn't had a chance to look at the plat of Beachview Heights.
Okay. If you don't mind also between now and I suppose we should continue for a month to get through some of these things. I'd like to look into that and then possibly have a meeting or a Zoom call or something with yourself and anyone else so we can work through that.
I'd like to think our legal staff still may have a file on this particular issue from years ago, and I'd like to understand what that is for the benefit of both the public and the applicant.
Okay.
Controversial, and there was something unique about it that I don't think has been resolved yet.
Right, okay. One other comment I want to make just for before we do the public comment up here. We had a community meeting for Sunset 38, which is further south. That's coming on the next TRC meeting. And we brought this one up as well during that community meeting just to get some comment. And overwhelmingly, the concerns here were parking, mainly because of the Elmo's Grill parking overflow in the neighborhood. So we actually proposed on-street parking on 30A. On this one, it was a mistake on my part. I didn't review this as well as I should from the designer on this that did not provide the required parking on site. The plan was to provide the required parking on site and as much parking on 30A as we could. We're doing the same thing on Sunset, and the plan for that is to try to help the overflow parking situation, pave Tanglewood so that it has a real street look to it, because that's really where Elmo's parking access is from. And the goal of this developer, he even changed the use of that one because of all the community concern of the Sunset project. So the goal of this developer is really to help the concerns that the public have and make a nice, small community commercial area here to go along with Elmo's and the little landscape business that's there beside it.
Couple of things to make sure you take a look at. Take a look at the proposed street cross-section for this segment of 30A that's in the mobility plan that will with the BCC on December 10th.
Okay. We proposed parallel parking, pervious pavers, as well as sidewalk along that, but if there's a plan already in place, obviously we'd like to incorporate that instead.
Yeah, take a look at that and make sure whatever we're proposing is.
Okay, who's the best person to contact on that?
Talk to Kristen about that. The appropriate segment to look at right there.
Anything else before we?
I don't think so at the moment. We got a number of outstanding comments, and there are folks here, I think, that may want to speak to some of these issues. Thank you, Curtis. Expecting that we will be continuing this project for 30 days. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this particular application or anyone on Zoom? Yes, sir, in the back. If you could come to the podium, please, and state your name and spell your last name for the record.
I'm Norman Froschner, F-R-O-E-S-C-H-N-E-R. Just to try to shed some light on this road situation, the roads in Beachview Heights have never been county maintained. I've lived there for 35 years. I've owned that house since '86 or whatever. Whether they're private or public, I have no idea. I've never been able to find out and get a definitive answer on this for 35 years. I kind of quit asking after a while. But I do know this. The county has never maintained any of the roads in Beachview Heights. When there's a hole in the road, we have bought and paid for the fill material to fix it. We've got out with our shovels and our wheelbarrows, et cetera. This is why we're all a little bit touchy about the roads. Now, last time was about a year ago. Me and my neighbor went in on $1,000 worth of recycled crushed concrete to fill up. That's been the deal all along, since day one. We've all paid the same taxes as everybody else in Walton County, but we've got nothing from as far as road maintenance goes. Now, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying this is why we're a little touchy about it. We are asking that these commercial developments come in and out on 30A and 30A only, and not use our roads, period. That's all we're asking.
Thank you, sir. I certainly recognize the concern about who owns the roads and who has access to those, and that's been one of my central concerns about this particular application based on the history I'm aware of.
Appreciate that very much.
But we will get to the bottom of this particular issue.
Well, like I say, if we, in and out on 30A, this is a commercial development. It has nothing to do with our neighborhood. And I understand what they're talking about paving the road and all of that kind of stuff, but you go around the corner on Tanglewood Drive, there's a hole about 2.5 foot deep and about 10 foot wide right now. Now, they're not going to pave around there. The other question is how, the maintenance question. The way this drawing looks to me, the Tanglewood Drive is going to turn into the service entrance for this commercial development. And I think anybody who looks at the drawing will come to the same conclusion. We have a dumpster right there. We have so what we're going to have is traffic on our road that we don't have. Tanglewood Drive and all of Beachview Heights does not connect to anything else. The only people that come down that street are people who live in Beachview Heights, period. And the trash guy and delivery people, Now, if this commercial development goes in, obviously there's going to be all kinds of traffic on that street. Now, if you want to pave it, that's all fine and good, but who's going to maintain it? Like I say, this is a problem that's been around for a long, long time in Beachview Heights. I would prefer, and all of my neighbors on Tanglewood also would prefer that the in and out be on 30A, period. That's all we're asking about. This is a big development. It's called minor, but this is big. I think it's one of the biggest developments on 30A. It's almost an acre. It's halfway down our street into our subdivision. Why this second lot was ever zoned commercial is kind of a mystery to me also. I understand the first lot that's on 30A, the triangle lot, that makes sense. But the second lot, this is coming, 300 feet down Tanglewood Drive into our neighborhood. That's all fine, but we do not want this driveway coming out on Tanglewood Drive. It's as simple as that. In and out on 30A, the same with the one on Sunset. In and out on 30A, and I know that's difficult, and I know you don't like dead-end parking lots, I understand that, but this road situation is not. We don't want a bunch of trash trucks and delivery trucks driving down our street. Tanglewood is our front yard.
Yes, sir, I understand your
Okay.
concerns. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Are you smiling, Fritz?
Yes, sir. Guilty as charged.
Okay.
All right.
I thought you were. You're a smoking hot guitar player, man.
I won't take up any more time. Thanks for our attention.
Do have one question before you go, actually.
Yes.
The Sunset, we were trying to get clarity as well. Sunset 30, is that, to your knowledge and also your knowledge, was that paved by the county originally?
Yes.
And maintained by the county currently?
Maintained. As far as I know, none of the roads in Beachview. One time, about 15 years ago, the roads got so bad, it was obvious to the county and everybody else that they couldn't even get an emergency vehicle else. At that time, the county came in one time, and that's the roads we have now. They put down a bunch of material, and that's the roads we have now. They've held up pretty good. The only reason is because there ain't a lot of traffic on them. Now, you start bringing trucks down those roads, and they're not just gonna go down to this development and stop. They're gonna go around the corner, around my corner, through that big pothole I just told you about. They're gonna go over to Sunset, and they're gonna go out Sunset. All of these roads are gonna have a tremendous, large, bigger amount of traffic than they do right now. If we can get in and out off of 30A, that's all we're asking.
Yes, sir, thank you. We've got your sentiments on the record. Yes, sir. Could you come to the podium, state your name, and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Riley Palmer. The last name is Palmer. I represent the owner on this particular piece of property, and in looking at the property and making the decision to try to exit out on Tanglewood, we took in consideration the existing condition of Tanglewood, and with two commercial developments already, Elmo's Grill and the nursery already exiting out there, our own personal opinion was that it would improve that entranceway tying back into 30A by paving the 300 feet or the footage there and making it a more suitable road. In addition, the owner who bought the property that represent, he also is a member of that association because he has bought lots in there, and he felt like by being part of an owner of that subdivision, he would also have the rights to use that road. Thank you.
Had any conversation with the owner of record of the roadway?
We have tried, I've actually had my attorney take a look at it, as you say, you said it adequately. It's very, very confusing. We've tried to trace it all the way back. There's errors in the deed transfer. Quite frankly, I'm not sure who can ultimately answer the decision. It's really, really confusing. And, is it a right of way? Is it a easement? Certainly it's going to take some attorneys to determine that. And I'm anxious to look at what was previously looked at because we've been unable to discover any court cases or anything of record that says this is the way it is. It's just kind of going away in most cases.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what the final disposition is of the issue where we had a building permit application in the middle of the street. I know we didn't approve it, but I don't know the rest of the details, but I'm sure we have that in the record somewhere.
Good. Well, I'm anxious to get together with your attorney and just kind of decide what is the rights, what is it? Is it a right of way? Is it a private easement? And again, keeping in mind my owner who bought the lots, the two lots, both as an owner of that subdivision as well as the developer in this case. Thank you very much.
Without looking back at the plat, am I correct that this lot is just north of the Beachview Heights plat? Not a part
Actually, inside of it. This particular parcel is 4 of the lots of Beachview Heights.
Right.
Or 3, it might be 3.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the survey here. It's actually 2. Lots 3 and 4, block 11 of Beachview Heights is what this is.
Well, we'll take a look at what's in our record.
Okay.
And see if we can come to some resolution of this particular issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wishing to make a comment? Yes, sir, in the back. If you could come forward, please.
Sorry. My name is Alex Ruchleau. Last name is Rouchaleau. I'm a local engineer, but I'm also a resident of the Beachview Heights subdivision. And I just want to agree with what the other residents have stated about the tie-ins on Tanglewood, and while we're mentioning Sunset as well. We've only been in the neighborhood 3 years. So I don't have as much history on ownership, but from what I could see, it's privately owned. So what it shows on the plan as a public right-of-way is incorrect. Again, we want to have these developments only tie in off of 30A. I believe that by allowing them to tie in off of Tanglewood, even if the developer were to maintain the roads and the maintenance aspect of it wouldn't be an issue, the increase in traffic, having a commercial driveway in front of $500,000 to $700,000 residential houses right across a 20-foot dirt road, even if that becomes paved, it's going to significantly and dramatically change that subdivision and negatively impact those residential roads. On top of that, you're looking at a development that's proposing probably around a 30-foot height, and I think they had a couple feet of fill on top of that. So you've got a 35-foot tall structure, just overtopping the residential homes right there. So I think there's a lot of issues with the compatibility. I know it's a minor development order, and I know with it being zoned commercial, you don't have to do a compatibility analysis. But I would sincerely appreciate that they revise the entrances to only be off 30A. Even though that may negatively impact 30A's traffic, they may have to decrease the intensity to make that work, but it's going to significantly impact the residential roads in Beachview Heights that were never designed for commercial traffic, and it's just going to really hurt the neighborhood. I would love the opportunity to talk with the county and the developer and be a part of some of these meetings, or have the residents of Beachview Heights be a part of these meetings as well, if that's possible. We're all for development, but just not for tying into the residential streets. So that's all I have.
Thank you for your comments, Alex. Anyone else wish to make a comment in our audience this morning? I don't see any hands up. Do we have any hands up on Zoom? I think I see one hand up, or two hands up.
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Could you state your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Yes, it's Amby Rice. The last name is Rice. And I would like to just say that, this is going to negatively impact the houses that are on that road, Tanglewood Road. And I would like to ask that, for you to think of this, like if this were your neighborhood, would you want a massive building? I know you say it's small, but it's huge building right in front of your property. I mean, it's going to devalue our homes significantly. It's a 30-foot tall building plus 2 more feet. I mean, plus it's a private road. And I would just like to reiterate that, there's a density problem. I mean, you're going to have tons and tons of traffic coming into our neighborhood. That road, Tanglewood Road, is only coming into our neighborhood. That's the only thing it goes to. And I just think there's also a drainage problem. I want to know, where's the water going to go when it rains? I think this spot is in a drain basin. And, I just would like to ask that the entrance and the exit be put on 30A. And I know someone else said, oh, they're trying to help the neighborhood. Well, none of the neighbors want this. So, that's not what we want. We want the entrance and the exit on 30A, and we just respectfully ask that you do that for us. That would be really appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. They've made part of the record. Our next speaker on Zoom.
Yeah, hello?
Good morning. Can you state your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Celeste Cobina, Cobena. I do not live in Beachview Heights. I live a couple of miles down the road, but very similarly, my neighborhood is one of the older neighborhoods that people have lived in for decades. These are people that work here and make their homes here. These aren't neighborhoods that are rental neighborhoods, except for very limited. And what's happening is many of these older neighborhoods where people have lived for a long time, have owned for a long time, particularly on the west end of 30A, are now being turned into commercial ventures. And I think it's very important that the entrances to this development are off of 30A, and we're not pushing commercial into these neighborhoods because it's changing the character of 30A. And I just really feel like I concur, even though I do not live in that neighborhood. I've seen the same thing attempted and happen in many neighborhoods, and we need to, in order to maintain the character and what a lot of folks in the, in these new developments, I'm going to call it sense of place, is that we need to maintain the older neighborhoods where people live as a place that you can live undisturbed by these commercial developments. And another concern I have is that this development will go in as retail, and then all of a sudden the use is changed over time. And I've seen this happen in a number of places where whether it's a shopping center goes in, and then all of a sudden what was originally a business for retail all of a sudden becomes a bar, restaurant, and it doesn't have adequate parking. So I really believe this needs to be completely redesigned so that it does not impact Tanglewood or any of the neighborhoods with ingress and egress, and it needs to all stay on 30A.
Thank you, Celeste. Your comments are part of the record. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak? I think we have one more hand up on Zoom.
Yes, sir. This is Benjamin Powell, Powell. I'm a resident of Beachview Heights as well, and actually live on Tanglewood Drive, immediately across from where that entrance and exit on the side on Tanglewood would be. And just kind of from the character of the neighborhood and what my view is right now, to have car lights, commercial trucks coming into my house. Not only that, I have 4 children who ride bikes on that street, and the amount of traffic that we have versus what I perceive it would be significantly increased. So I do think there's a minor amount of a safety issue, but kind of in line with what everybody said, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but yes, having some sort of landscaping shield, not allowing us to see directly into just a bare open parking lot in a building, that changes the character of our neighborhood significantly. But not only that, but having access only off of and onto 30A, I think would help maintain the character of our neighborhood, as well as some sort of landscaping that would allow our neighborhood character to be maintained. That's all I had. And I also submitted comments for the public record in writing as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Both are made a part of the record. Do we have anyone else? Do we have any more hands up on Zoom? Anyone else in the audience wishing to make a comment about this application? See no more hands up. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yes, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Ambi Rice, RICE. So my understanding is as you drive by 30A, you're going to be looking at the back of this building. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. This particular building has entrances on both the 30A side and the back side at the parking lot.
But does it not, the back of the building, does the back of the building face 30A?
There's really no back of building per se. It has entrances on both sides. Both sides.
Oh, so it's going to be two-sided, okay. And I would also like to request that the dumpster not be placed on the neighborhood side. I would like, to request it be placed on the other side.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any other comments?
No, that's all.
Okay, that's made part of the record. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to make a comment? I see no one in the room, no one on Zoom. We'll close that portion of the meeting this morning. Need to continue this for 30 days, so that's going to take us to January 6th. We'll entertain a motion at the dais to continue this project to the January 6th, 2021 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location.
So moved.
Motion by Donna. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandy. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the January 6th Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Thank you, Curtis. That'll move us to item number 7 on our agenda, the Gregor Marine Boat Storage and Service Facility, County Road 393. It's reviewed by Tim Brown. Tim, if you'll introduce it for us.
Yes, thank you. This is a minor development order application submitted by Innerlight Engineering requesting approval to develop a 15,440 square foot boat service and storage facility with a residential unit above and associated infrastructure on 4.87 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning category of village mixed use. There's outstanding comments from planning, environmental, engineering, and floodplain. No comments were received as of the date of the staff report from fire. With that, I'll turn over to the applicant, and I'd like to enter the staff report into the record, please.
So entered. Do we have a, okay, there we go. Site plan.
This is behind the Exxon station at the corner of 393 and 98. It's immediately behind, well, I guess the property immediately behind that is owned by Ace Hardware. It's immediately behind that. An odd-shaped lot.
Present storage area for Ace Hardware is immediately south of this.
I believe immediately south is their retention pond. I believe it's more to the east is their storage. And there may be some storage there, but there's also a retention area as well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the committee have a question for staff? Comments from the applicant?
For the record, I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering, and the site is immediately north of the Exxon and the Ace Hardware, and that Ace Hardware storage is southeast of this, where this building is located. But I have reviewed the staff report. There are several comments, but we can address those comments. Most of them are landscape related, but we feel confident we can address the comments, and would be more than happy to answer any questions, and we would respectfully request to move forward. This is a minor, so I don't think we would have to adhere to the 1-week turnaround.
Thinking about our schedule.
Okay.
Christmas,
Yeah, we can do that.
what we're trying to do, get this done. Okay. Anyone in, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Who was that? Sammy, okay. Question from the fire marshal. Yes, sir. Have Sammy? Sammy, can you hear us? Do we have Sammy back yet? Chris?
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID. Enter your participant ID.
Hey, can you
followed
hear
by
us?
pound.
Go ahead.
Just press
Sammy, if you can hear us, go ahead.
You have entered the meeting as a panelist. Attendees can now hear you speak.
Sammy, can you hear us?
Heck, I'm sorry I lost everybody.
All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I apologize. I had some technical difficulties. David, have we done what's the traffic study like for this new project? Because that intersection, I gotta tell you, I drive it every day several times between the apartments and the store. I'm looking down the road as what kind of impact is that gonna bring onto that roadway? Not to mention, we're gonna have a post office towards the end of Chad Hawley and 393 to bring in more traffic. So I'm just curious from, what kind of study has been done, that honestly, that thinks, makes this a good idea to have this project there.
Yeah, thank you, Sammy. This is David. We have provided a traffic concurrency analysis where we've analyzed the roadway segments that are within the Walton County Concurrency Management System. And there are several of the roadways that are currently over capacity, so we are contributing to the proportionate fair share fund as we're allowed to do by the code. I know the intersection further south of this property does get pretty busy, especially in the mornings. But I know with us being located further to the north of where the primary activity is between the two gas stations there, is, we feel confident that, our business here will not, degrade this level any further in this location. Then I know the main activity is further down to the south where the two gas stations are.
I do have a question and I can't really tell from what we're seeing right now. How does the driveway?
Okay, thank you, David.
Hey, thank you, Sammy.
How does the driveway on 393 line up with the main driveway to the large development to the west that's under construction with the apartments?
I have it in front of me. I believe we line up with the driveway, but I can verify that. Make sure I'm speaking correctly.
Yeah, that would be a question I would have.
Okay, I can answer that question.
Anyone else have any questions about this particular development?
All right, thank you.
Tim, do we have a recommended motion? Is there anyone else that wishes to speak about this particular application? Anyone in the audience, anyone on Zoom? I see no one wishing to make a comment.
Well, if the committee is okay with, I mean, the comments are relatively minor. My recommended motion would be to approve the project pending resolution of all outstanding comments and move it forward to the development order.
Do we have a recommended motion? Do we have a motion at the dais?
I'll make a motion.
Move forward, subject to satisfaction of outstanding comments. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed likewise?
Aye.
None. The motion is carried. This item will move forward to development order, subject to satisfaction of all outstanding comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next item, item number 8, Tom Thumb number 160, Forest View Amendment. Tim, if you can introduce that one for us.
Yes, thank you. This is a major development order, I'm sorry, this is a minor. It's a minor development order application submitted by McNeil Carroll requesting approval to add 225 square feet to the building, add additional employee parking, change the building color, and add additional signage to the building on 2.02 acres with a future land use of commercial and a zoning of general commercial. So this is an amendment to the previously approved Tom Thumb. There's outstanding comments from planning, environmental, and we had received no comments from fire as the date of the report, and public works. So with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant and ask that the staff report be entered into the record.
Entered. Thank you, Tim.
Good morning, Robert Carroll, McNeil Carroll Engineering, 17800 Panama City Beach Parkway, Carroll, C-A-R-R-O-L-L. We have read the staff report, planning comments. We've already addressed those. Environmental, that one is addressed on the plans, but we'll provide a written clarification on that. The only real question that we have a current development order, as you know, but since we turned it in for an amendment, it started the review process, and our survey is a little more than a year old, but nothing has changed. Is there a way that we can not have to update the survey, or do we need to get the survey updated?
I think we probably need to get the survey updated.
Okay. And then the only other comment that we're dealing with is Public Works came back. It was not the first time it was approved. They did make a comment about it, but now they're questioning the driveway location. So we're having comments with them on what we can do to kind of get everyone to use the northern side. So we'll get that coordinated today. But all these we can have addressed and resubmitted by no later than tomorrow. So we respectfully ask to go ahead and allow us to go to the DRB.
Questions for the applicant from the committee? Like these can be resolved. Anyone on Zoom or in the audience wishing to make a comment about this particular application or ask a question? One in the audience or on Zoom? Entertain a recommended motion. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Approve the project pending resolution of all outstanding comments and move it forward to the design review board.
Have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
Motion.
Motion by Brandy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved, subject to satisfaction of comments, and we'll move forward to the DRB. Moves us to item number 9, the Topsail West PUD Phase 3 Amendment, a major development reviewed by Tim. Tim, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, thank you. This is a major development order submitted by McNeil Carroll Engineering requesting approval to change the use in Phase 3 of the PUD from shopping center to hotel and change the parking rate from shopping center to hotel on 11.07 acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning of coastal center mixed use. Since this is a PUD amendment, it was only reviewed by planning, and I just had three minor comments. With that, I'll turn it over to the applicant and ask that the staff report be entered into the record.
Tim?
Good morning, Robert Carroll, McNeil Carroll Engineering, 17800 Panama City Beach Parkway, Carroll, C-A-R-R-O-L-L. We have read the comments. We have addressed those. We just need to upload those to CitizenServe, and respectfully request to go to planning board.
Thank you, sir. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
When do we get the scenic order buffer installed on the 98 side of this parcel?
With this project? Yeah, so whenever this project moves forward, the hotel project, we will go ahead and put that buffer in as part of that development order.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone from the committee have any questions on this particular application? The audience, anyone on Zoom? None, recommend a motion, Tim?
To the approve the project pending resolution of all outstanding comments and move it forward to the Planning Commission.
Have a recommended motion to conditionally approve and move forward to the Planning Commission. Do we have a motion at the dais?
Motion.
Motion by Brandy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jonathan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed likewise? None. This item is conditionally approved to move forward to the Planning Commission. Next item, Nakuse Future Land Use Amendment with Rezoning. Application reviewed by Stephen Shawn. Stephen, if you can introduce.
Yes, good morning. This is a large-scale amendment application submitted by Walton County Planning and Development Services on behalf of the Davis Stella 2015 Land Trust, Nakuse Education, Inc., and others. All appear to be related to the single property owner. They are requesting, or we are requesting, approval of a large-scale future land use map amendment from estate residential, general agriculture, large-scale agriculture, Black Creek Special Planning Area, and public facilities to conservation, and a zoning district change from estate residential, general agricultural, large-scale agriculture, excuse me, public facilities, and Black Creek low density, residential, and town center to conservation. This is occurring on 59 individual parcels totaling approximately 6,900 plus or minus acres. The subject lands are adjacent to or abutting other conservation lands under the same ownership and are located throughout the south central and north central planning areas of the county and can be generally accessed from State Road 20 and or Highway 331. If I could have the staff report into the record, please.
So entered. Thanks, Stephen.
This project was not routed through the typical staff review, based solely on the fact that it's going to conservation on all of these lands, essentially limiting the development potential to very little, no density, no intensity, other than some passive recreation I believe there's very little they can do, and there's no intention, based on conversations with the property owner, to do anything but conserve in its natural state these lands.
Thanks, Stephen. Just for clarification for the members of the public, this application takes approximately 7,000 acres out of development potential and downzones it to conservation. A tremendous move in our county to reduce development potential and put this land into conservation. We certainly applaud the efforts of Ms. Davis and the plantation to move forward in this manner. Thing for Walton County. Do we have an opportunity to hear from the applicant?
We are the applicant. The owner
the
has
applicant
not
on this
had,
one?
other than some minor conversations, ensuring that the properties are in line with what they've purchased and everything is good. We are it.
This is a very good thing. Do we have anyone in the audience, anyone on Zoom, wishing to make a comment about this particular application? Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is, Randy Gardner, Gardner. For clarity, on item 10, and I see 10 and 11 are obviously somewhat related. The 59 individual parcels that are affected by this change, again, for clarity, are any of those 59 parcels adversely affected by this change? Meaning if they were conservation, whatever they had before, will they have it now?
Well, technically, all of them are adversely affected in that they had development potential before, and they're moving essentially to no development potential.
What's the next step after today's meeting?
This will move to the Planning Commission and then to the Board of County Commissioners for final, for transmittal approval. Then it will go to the state for their approval for 30 days. We'll come back to the BCC for final adoption.
Understood. So to be sure I did understand, I should say, is if any individual parcel owner, and this is not a random question because I have several associates that own property that will be affected by this. And they did have rights beyond pure conservation up until this point. So in effect, is it, I would say, taking a property, the fact that you didn't develop it when you had the right to do more than you'll have now, is there any form of compensation for that?
The applicant has asked for this down zone.
The applicant has.
Yes.
But how about the 59 parcels that are affected by it?
They're
Unless
all
they
owned
own them
by
all.
the same applicant.
Same applicant. Then probably my question would relate more to item number 11.
Probably
All
will.
right. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Sir. Anyone else wishing to ask a question or make a comment about this particular application? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Do we have a recommended motion, Stephen?
Yes, sir. To approve and move to the Planning Commission at their next scheduled meeting.
Thank you, sir. We have a recommended motion to Planning Commission. Do we have a motion at the dais?
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Have a second, didn't we? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed likewise? None. This item is moved forward to Planning Commission. Thank you, Stephen. This moves to item 11, the Black Creek Future Land Use Map Amendment with rezoning. This is also and this is a application. Describe it for us, Stephen.
Yes, sir. This is the large-scale future land use map amendment application submitted by Walton County Planning and Development Services requesting approval of a large-scale future land use map change from the Black Creek Special Planning Area to residential and mixed use, and a zoning district change from the planning area low-density residential and the rural town center to urban residential and village mixed use respectively on 9 individual parcels totaling approximately 587 acres. The proposed map amendments to the subject lands are a result of a comprehensive plan amendment eliminating the Black Creek Special Planning Area and zoning designations. The subject lands can generally be accessed off of County Road 3280. If I can have the staff report enter into the record, please. Excuse me. Again, this project was not routed to the typical staff review. Basically, what we've done here, what planning staff has done here is looked at what the past land use and zoning designations were and allowable uses, and we matched as best possible our current future land use designations and zoning districts that would not detract from the allowable uses and would seek to mimic the allowable density and intensity of those parcels in this application. Staff has reached out to property owners that are affected by this proposed amendment and rezoning, have received some questions, but not any adverse comments. If I can briefly go over the changes that would actually occur with the density. Essentially, the urban residential and the village mixed use will allow for an increase in density. The base density of 4 units are the same, or is the same. However, there is a compatibility analysis that will allow up for 10 units per acre within the urban residential. And then the VMU actually allows for 2 additional dwelling units an acre. It is staff's understanding that without utility service provision of sanitary sewer, that the base density of 1 unit a quarter acre would more than likely not be approved anyways. There are some slight variations in the intensity, but again, we sought to mimic as best as possible. In particular, the compatibility and the uses is what we were after to ensure that there was no down zoning and allowable use of the lands themselves. If you have any other questions, I can certainly seek to answer them now.
Thank you, Stephen. Just to really reiterate, it was our intent to apply current categories to these parcels with the intent not to downzone them best of our ability.
Yes, sir. And I don't believe that we did. It's my understanding that we up zone them without option, really. There wasn't anything we could have done.
Okay. So effectively, they may have gotten.
That's correct. Yes.
Current comp plan and current zoning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. We may have more questions for you if we have questions from the audience. Thank you, Stephen. Do we have anyone that would like to ask a specific question about a specific parcel? Because I think this is a collection of parcels that are not all commonly owned. And it is not our intent to downzone or decrease the entitlements that the county previously provided through future land use map categories on these particular parcels. Intent to update them so they're consistent with the current comp plan and land development code. Anyone in the audience wishing to ask a question or make a comment about this particular application? None. Do we have anyone on Zoom that has a question or comment about this application? Seeing none, we'll
The recommended motion, excuse me, is approval and movement forward to the next scheduled planning commission meeting.
Thank you, Stephen. We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
I move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. In favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is approved to move forward to the next available planning commission. Thank you, Stephen. And since this is your show, number 12, Salt Air Planned Unit Development. You can introduce that one for us.
Yes, sir. This is a request to approve by final order and overlay ordinance. It is being reviewed by me. This is a major development order application submitted, submitted by O'Connell and Associates on behalf of 30A Lofts LLC, requesting approval of a detailed planned unit development to construct 3,400 plus or minus square feet of commercial development, 256 apartment units, to include other appurtenances, driveway connections to 98, and other associated infrastructure on approximately 24 plus or minus acres. The project site is a future land use of mixed use and zoning districts of village mixed use and small neighborhood, and is located on Highway 98. The property can be identified by the parcel numbers in your staff report, which I would like entered into the record, if I may, please.
Leonard?
Great. I did want to point out one oversight here. I indicated that there was attached the DRB staff report. I neglected to include that in my printing, but it is scheduled to go to DRB, I believe, next month, and Tim Brown will be taking it that route, if it's approved, of course. Other than that, there are quite a few outstanding planning as well as engineering comments. Some of them are minor in nature, others I think may need some additional work. I don't know if the applicant is here today, but I will turn it over to him if you have any further questions.
Do we have a representative of the applicant here this morning?
There he is, waiting in the back there.
Good morning. My name is Neil O'Connell, O'Connell, with O'Connell Associates Consulting Engineers. We are the consulting engineer representing the applicant on this project. We have received and reviewed the comments from staff. We have responded to them. We haven't submitted our responses yet. As Stephen mentioned, there's a number of comments. We feel that the majority of them are benign. It's not going to result in any major design changes to this project. So at the request of staff, as part of the staff report, they've asked for it to be continued to the next meeting. We're happy to work with staff and oblige them in their request to continue it to the next meeting. We feel like we can address all those comments by then, certainly working with staff. I understand that you guys have a busy schedule. The only thing that we ask is that we be allowed the opportunity to continue forward, provided that we're approved at the next meeting to continue forward to the DRB meeting on the 7th of January.
Thank you. I see no issue with continuing on the DRB schedule. Any concern about any of the comments? All look pretty straightforward and
yeah, they're all straightforward comments that we would expect to see and anticipated as part of the technical review process.
Okay. Project. Do we have a recommended motion? Well, before we do that, let me just, anyone in the audience wish to make or ask a question or make a comment about this particular project, or anyone on Zoom? Technical question or comment? Seeing none in the audience, seeing none on Zoom, Stephen, if you could provide a recommended motion.
Yes, staff would recommend continuing to the next TRC meeting to allow enough time for the applicant and staff to ensure that we have the best project moving forward.
That'll be December 16th?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you, sir. We have a request to continue to the December 16th Technical Review Committee meeting with the plan schedule for DRB on January 7th. Safe to go ahead and make that
Great.
Thank you. Do we have a motion at the dais?
I'll motion to continue.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandy. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? None. This item is continued to the next on December 16th at 8:30 a.m. in this location. We will also proceed with the advertising for the January 7th design review board meeting for this project. Anticipating it will satisfactorily clear PRC. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move to number 13, the South Walton RV Resort Small Scale Amendment, reviewed by Bob Baronti. Bob, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is a request to approve by ordinance a land use amendment with zoning application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of SRB Land LLC, requesting to change current future land use of residential with a zoning district of neighborhood infill to future land use of industrial and extractive uses in the zoning district of light industrial on 9.75 plus or minus acres. And the parcel number is in your staff report. Mr. Chair, if you would you please enter the staff report in the record?
So enter, Bob. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this request for rezoning and future land use change is for a 64 pad RV resort, and the comments are pretty straightforward in the staff report. The applicant is here to make any comments. We will hear the future land use change, and then immediately after that, the DO request. If there's no questions for me, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning. My name is Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. We are the engineer of record and agent to the applicant for this particular land use amendment and project proposal before you today. A couple of, or just one minor clarification that I wanted to make in the staff report for both the SSA and the project review. At the time of the pre-application meeting, we had 64 RV pads. The project upon submittal is for 66 RV pads. So there's an inconsistency throughout the staff report that we wanted to ask to be corrected to reflect 66. Certain areas of the staff report, it does show 66. Other areas, which I think are holdovers from the pre-app notes, reflect 64. Only comment that we saw related to the SSA was an environmental comment. I spoke to our environmental consultant this morning. The high pine scrub was incorrectly cited in the report. We'll get that corrected and returned. There will not be a preservation requirement for the vegetation on the site. Aside from that, I didn't have any questions or clarifications for the TRC board.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant from any member of the TRC?
And I will make that address. I was going off the staff, the proposed development that was submitted.
Thank you, Bob. Any other questions for Bob? Recommend a motion?
Upon making those changes, staff would recommend to approve and move to the planning commission for its public hearing at the appropriate meeting.
Thank you, Bob. We have a recommended motion to approve the project and move it forward to motion at the dais. Comments on this one?
No, we've had no public comments.
My apology. Is there anyone in the audience or anyone on Zoom that wishes to ask a technical question about this proposed major or this proposed land use change? No hands in the room, seeing no hands on Zoom. Recommended motion. We have a motion at the dais.
Motion.
Motion.
Motion. Do we have a second? Got a second?
Second.
Second by Crystal. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this application is approved to move forward to the Planning Commission for next consideration. Item number 14, the companion project, the South Walton RV Resort, also reviewed by Bob Baronti. Bob, if you can introduce that one for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is a major development application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of SRB Land LLC, requesting to develop a RV park with 66 pads, clubhouse, and pool within a gated facility of 9.93 plus or minus acres, with a current land use of residential and a zoning of neighborhood infill. And the staff, the project number is in your staff report, and this is the companion project. And if at some point the land use change is not approved, this project would not be able to move forward. There are a number of comments. I haven't received fire comments, and I just provided Dewberry's comments to the applicant. There is one thing that was pointed out to me in the review. You did mention the trees, but I was told that we need to check the accuracy of the whole environmental document. Because the county looked at this property previously and theirs was different. So if you could just re-review that, check it, and resubmit the updated environmental with your
Accuracy with regard to what?
told to me it wasn't matching what Public Works reviewed when they got the environmental report on this property.
Bob, a suggestion, can we provide the applicant with a copy of the previous environmental report?
Yeah, if I can get it from Public Works, I will gladly provide it.
That should be available to you.
So Public Works has another environmental report on file?
I know we were looking at acquiring this property one time. An environmental report was done. I don't recall who did it, whether it was done by Public Works environmental staff or whether it was private consultant, but whatever it is, you need the benefit of it.
Okay.
Then I will contact them first thing when I get back.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
But that was just pointed out that in their review, they noticed that, those discrepancies.
Okay.
My only question, without being able to see both developments at the same time, how does this proposed driveway intersection line up with what is proposed across the street in the Salt? Or previously to this project?
I have not seen the site plan for Saltaire or had correspondence to coordinate that. I can say that we are willing to work with Saltair. I was contacted yesterday by Steve Hall, their attorney, that represents them. And there's a number of things that we're looking at coordinating with them, from multi-use paths to potential turn lanes up at Highway 98. And we'll be corresponding with them quite a bit in the near future on those type matters.
Very good. We appreciate the willingness of the applicant to work together with other applicants along the same street, because everybody's traffic is going to be mixed together along with our park traffic.
Understood. Fortunately, Mall Street's a relatively short road, but there will be.
And we have a 30,000 square foot church coming in just south of the Saltair. It's already been approved also.
Right. Yeah, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing. We've got some great facilities out there already, some additional facilities the county has planned on the west side of Mall Drive, south of the Saltair development to expand Helen McCall Park. I think to add some additional parking, which is sorely needed. South of Saltair, southwest of this proposed site. Appreciate that coordination.
Sure. We would be happy to look at their driveway connections. I can get in touch with Neil, and now that they've got their detailed plan, we can tighten those up. I don't know if Bob had anything further on his presentation before we jumped in, so I'll put it back to him.
Okay. Recommend a motion?
Well, I just had a couple of clarifications on the comments, if I could spend a little bit of time on it.
Sure.
One was from Planning Department, a solid waste station. Bob, are you referring to a dumpster location?
Well, the dumpster or the pumping station.
Oh, okay, a pump out station.
Traditionally, we've found, since we've been
Right, pump out station will be for the RVs.
to make sure there's
Okay, all right, we'll make sure to provide that.
and I didn't see it on
Okay. We can clarify that. The only other comment that I wanted to discuss was actually from the floodplain manager regarding the compensatory storage, one-to-one hydraulically equivalent storage for imported fill within a flood zone. On our grading and drainage plan, we included a tabulation of the amount of fill being placed on the site and the 1 foot of fill quantity and how we meet or are below that. I just wanted to make sure that that table was seen, or did we just need to point that out? Or was there a question or comment on that table?
I'm not familiar with the table, but if you feel confident that you are providing the compensatory storage within the Zone A, I think it should be fine.
Okay. We had it, well, there's two analyses that were done. One was for the 1 foot of fill across the site, that we don't exceed that.
Right.
And that was tabulated on the grading and drainage plan. The other is compensatory storage, where in part we provided that within our stormwater pond, which was only for that area of the site that is contributed to the flood zone from our property. We route that portion of it to our retention pond. Now, anything above that, we understand we're going to have to provide within the flood zone, and because it can't get into our retention pond. But we will clarify those numbers so that you can see clearly what portion is coming from our site and what portion is the remainder of the floodplain.
I'd also like to make note, it has to be separate from the treatment volume as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can go an extra step to clarify that it's above our storage elevation is for floodplain storage.
Okay.
All right. And Bob and I just had a conversation about potentially a turn lane at Mall Drive and Highway 98 due to the fact that this is an RV park. And that's something that we've discussed internally with our design team, And actually, Steve Hall and I touched on that conversation yesterday as well as probably a joint effort toward that. Mall Drive currently doesn't have a traffic light at it, and a turn lane, or turn lanes plural, in the absence of a light, is a step in the right direction. So we'd certainly be interested in speaking with them further about that. So
Appreciate you working together with them on that, and working together, maybe it would save each other some money.
certainly think so. And he and I kind of batted around ideas of how to handle that, and it's probably based on a trip generation percentage, and just apply that, to the cost of the project, or the cost of the improvements. So I think we're already getting the wheels in motion on how to go about it. So
Okay, very good.
all right.
Any other questions on this particular application for the RV park? Hands in Zoom, no hands in the room.
Hey,
Recommend-
Mac.
Yes, we do have somebody. Brandy.
Hey, this is Brandy from Public Works. I wanted to put on the record that our comments were not included in the staff report.
I asked to have them in writing, and I don't believe I ever got them from Anna. I called twice this week trying to get them, but I will make sure they get in going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Because we were told that they will piggyback with Dewberry. We just got Dewberry's comments, so their comments will be on Dewberry's letter that was provided, that I just got provided to the applicant now, so they'll be moved into the staff report and be addressed with the resubmittal.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Bob. Amelia, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. State your name for the record and spell
Hi,
your last name, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Amelia Cantu. My last name is Cantu. I am the director at St. Rita Catholic Preschool, which is next to the proposed land for the RV park.
Yes, ma'am.
My question and concern is for the safety and well-being of my students at my preschool. I'm a little concerned with an RV park being so close to our playground and our preschool, as I would not know who would be staying at the RV park. Could it be, sex offenders or other criminals? So that is a big concern to me, and I don't know if there are any laws that state how far something like that would have to be from my preschool grounds.
There's certainly laws about how close a sex offender can live adjacent to one of those kinds of facilities, but I'm not aware of any law that relates to a recreational vehicle park or a hotel or any other kind of transient occupancy kind of facility. If you are, we'd appreciate you sharing that with us, but I'm not aware of anything. And I'm sure the applicant is concerned about compatibility with the adjacent school. And I'll ask the applicant to address your concern.
Again, Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. In our community meeting, we addressed this to some extent, and just to be as bluntly clear as I can, I think a lot of people, when they hear an RV park, they may think trailer park. And just wanted to draw a distinction that this is for a resort RV park. It will be a gated neighborhood, both for the benefit of the surrounding neighbors and for the park residents that are coming to visit the park. There will be an on-site manager. There will be on-site security, 24/7 live-in manager. So I just wanted to try to draw a clear distinction, for the church, because the neighbors to the east had mentioned similar concerns. And this will be a professionally maintained, secure RV park. And I don't anticipate any concerns or problems with that type of behavior or that type of clientele. There will be also covenants and restrictions that are recorded with the park, and background checks that are conducted prior to entering the park. Thank you.
Amelia,
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, somewhat. That makes me feel a little better about it. Will there be a fence around the whole facility of the RV park?
There has been discussion, actually as part of our community meeting, of fencing the property. The owner's here. I guess I could ask that to see if there's a commitment to do that. I believe he indicated favorably for a fence, but I'll have Mr. Pikehall come up and elaborate.
Yes, my name is Pike Hall, Hall. I'm owner, manager of SRB Land, 50% partner, and will be the active manager of the RV resort. A little background about myself. My family has been developing in Santa Rosa Beach as well as Jacksonville, Florida for over 20 years. Courtyards of Santa Rosa Beach, Fairway Villas, and then Courtyards of Santa Rosa Beach, and then Village Station on 30A right now is an active commercial development that I'm pursuing right now. To answer your question, yes, there will be a 6-foot vinyl fence around the entire development. There will be gated, and then we'll also have landscape buffers as well as RV restrictions, stuff like that. I can answer any other questions.
Thank you.
Cantu, did you have any other questions for the applicant?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
For your comments. Recommend a motion, Bob?
Mr. Chair, since I think these comments and the comments provided today can be addressed by Mr. Burgess's staff, so I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve and move this to the Planning Commission at its appropriate meeting, pending successful transmission of resubmittal.
Thank you, Bob. We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dot?
Motion.
We have a motion to conditionally approve this and move it forward to favor, please say aye. Oh, wait, we need a second. Sorry. We have a second.
Second.
You have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed likewise? None. This item is conditionally approved to move forward to the Planning Commission, subject to satisfaction of outstanding comments. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Bob. We'll move to item number 15, the Trout Creek Village Future Land Use Map Amendment and Zoning. And then we have the companion RV project right after that. You can introduce.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is a future land use amendment with rezoning application submitted by Innerlight Engineering on behalf of Trout Creek Village LLC, requesting to change the current future land use of industrial and extractive uses to rural residential, and a zoning district change from heavy industrial to rural village on 7.10 plus or minus acres. And the staff, property number is in your staff report. I'd like to, also it will be for a 45 pad RV unit and associated uses. Staff would like to enter the staff report into the record.
So entered.
If the staff request meets comprehensive plan in the LDC, the comments will be addressed in the major development order. And I would like, did I enter it in the staff report and record? And I'd like to turn it over to the applicant, who will gladly answer any questions. Do you have any questions of me before I sit down?
No, thank you, Bob. We'll hear from the applicant.
And I will also ask this applicant to address the turn lane.
I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering, and this property is unique in the fact that part of the property has a future land use and zoning, and then the remaining portion of the property has a different land use and zoning. So I'm not sure how that happened, but this request is to correct that issue, if you will. I'm not sure, again, how it happened. It's just a portion of the property is zoned with a different future land use, so we're wanting to make it all the same zoning and land use, and that's the reason for this request.
I understand. I'm familiar with this particular parcel and the two. Do we have any questions for the applicant from the TRC? Seeing none, do we have any questions from the audience or anyone on Zoom? Yes, ma'am. Could you come to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
My name is Jane Blakeman, Blakeman. I'm a resident on Palmetto Street, and my concern is that this whole area is a complete flood area. It's, I believe it's Zone AE, and our concern is that the future of dredging out the creek environmentally as a problem, and I speak for several of the neighbors that live on Maple Street whose properties abut up to the creek area and this proposed project. So we were told by someone who had asked one of the neighbors if they wanted to sell part of their property, that it was going to be cabins for fishermen. And so this is the first I'm hearing of the pads to put an RV park in. So that in alone is something completely different than what the neighbor who was asked if he wanted to sell some property was told. So I'm just curious as to what goes forward, and I realize there's two sections to this, so maybe I need to listen further. But I know we have some other neighbors here too that have some questions.
The first item is to remove the industrial land use part of the parcel, which may have been erroneously applied at some point in the past. I'm sure that we probably don't want a heavy industrial kind of use on that parcel. If I were living near it, I would not want that.
Right.
Environmental sensitivity of the area, as you mentioned. We'll ask the applicant to address your questions.
As far as the purchase of the property, I'm not aware of what was discussed when my client purchased the property as far as what he was intending to use it for. I just don't have that information. There are 3 cabins proposed as part of this, the development proposal, which we'll hear as the next agenda item. But the remaining portion of the property is RVs. So as far as what was discussed, I can't speak to. I just don't have that information.
But the present application is for an RV park that includes 3 cabins?
Correct, yes, yes. And there's a large wetland on the southern portion of the property that is remaining intact, and that's predominantly where the flood zone area, which is an A7, is located. So as far as flooding, from a design perspective, we have to design to any kind of requirements where there will be no flooding there. And to my knowledge, there's no plans to dredge the creek. I know we are proposing a boardwalk to go over to the creek so the residents here can go over and enjoy viewing the creek. But as far as dredging the creek or changing the shape of the creek, I'm not aware of any plans to do that. Thank you.
That answer your questions, ma'am? If you've got additional questions, is there anyone else here that wishes to ask a question about this particular project? Yes, sir. If you could come to the podium and State your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
My name is Bruce Blakeman, Blakeman. I also live in the area. I have a little concern about the environmental impact that this will have on all levels of the wildlife in the area. It is quite an avid, active area as far as hunting and fishing. So we also, we all know that these creeks within the area are limited, and with the speed of the development of the area, I have a little concern about the impact that some of the development will have on these creeks. Like I said, this supports all the wildlife from every level. We have bear, we have hog. It's fairly active with fishing. This leads into the bay, which there's probably, I would have to guess, 200-yard shelf that's fairly shallow water. There is porpoise that comes up through the bay. Being it's a tourist area, I think we have to take this into concerns and what the impact will be with any kind of runoff and building on these creeks going forward in the future, and what we stand to lose once they're gone. So I do have a concern with not only the traffic in the area, but the runoff in the area and the impact it's going to have on these creeks in the future. And that's.
David, would you like to answer his questions?
As part of the application, we're required to provide an environmental assessment by an environmentalist, which we used Biome Consulting out of Pensacola. And there were no endangered species. Now, there was a preservation requirement, which we are meeting that requirement, where we're preserving the, I believe it was a mesic habitat. But as far as wildlife or endangered species, there was none observed by the environmentalist. But that report is part of the application, which is the next agenda item. As I mentioned, we're not encroaching into the wetland area where the creek is. There is an impact proposed on the eastern side of the wetland to access the cottages, but the creek itself runs along the western portion of the property. And we are providing stormwater management, meeting the Walton County Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan requirements, where our stormwater will actually be treated prior to discharging into the creek and then making it to the bay. So the water can't just freely flow there from our development. We have to meet the Walton County stormwater management treatment and attenuation requirements, which we do. So we have that plan in place as well. And then, traffic, we did provide a traffic concurrency analysis that's consistent with the requirements of Walton County. And so I hope I answered his questions. I think that was the three questions that were presented.
Thank you, David. Did that address your question, sir? You could come back up to the podium so we could get your comments on the public record, please.
The only other question that I would have is, with it being stated here, with a future land use of industrial extractive uses and a zoning district of heavy industrial, I feel as though that there's plenty of land and area north of Route 20 and east of Route 331 that's available for any form of heavy industrial activity going in. I feel as though the bay, being a tourist area, and it is a draw for people looking to move here with residents, permanent residents, or just for vacationing, that a lot of this area along the bay, not only the Gulf, but the bay that supports the Gulf out there, we have to look at this slowly with some concerns, like I said, especially going forward with the use of this heavy industrial with the other lands that are available within the area.
You do understand that we're changing it from heavy industrial to rural village.
Well, I did understand that at the first part of the meeting on this particular proposal, but I was just reading through this and wondering if there was an avenue that they were looking that it could be changed back in the future.
I would not expect that this would qualify to be changed back in the future.
Okay.
In fact, I see this as a good thing for the neighborhood. kind of heavy
I
industrial
do,
zoning
I
that's in
do,
that.
also, I agree.
I would suggest that those parcels that are south of this one that are partially occluded by heavy industrial and extractive uses and a heavy industrial zoning district might want to change theirs also.
Right.
Because I certainly agree with you that this location is not appropriate for those kinds of uses. That is one reason that staff recommended changing that. Applicant to something that would downzone it, so those heavy industrial uses could not be applied on that particular parcel because, by and large, we have houses around there. And not some, now we may have on the north side of Highway 20 with the two industrial location. There's limited heavy industrial use on the south side of 20 there, and we certainly support that opportunity and replacing it with one that would be more compatible with the neighborhood. So just to be clear, it's has a future land use of industrial and extractive uses in a zoning district of heavy industrial right now, and the applicant is proposing to change it to rural village.
Okay, very good. No, I misunderstood the way that this was worded, and I was just concerned that once the growth of the area has taken place, that you can't go back to what you've lost. Had a concern about, proceeding with overall view of where you want to go forward with the town and the county, that it's not lost, the overall.
So we're certainly concerned about the environmental sensitivity of this particular area, and having a heavy industrial zoning on that and the opportunities that would provide for the applicant are really not what the county would like to see there for the benefit of all the neighbors. And that's why we're supporting down zoning to something that would be more
Being this was in a
heavy industrial use.
And being this was in a flood zone, it just raised higher concerns that I had.
And they will have to construct this development consistent with the FEMA regulations for building within the and they're by regulation prevented from increasing the flood potential with their
Especially with the storms that we're having nowadays, more frequent and more intense.
Well, nothing, we don't have the authority or the financial wherewithal to approve projects that would withstand a 500-year storm or a 1,000-year storm like we may have had in the last few years. And we may have again, it's just not financially feasible to build that kind of standard of 500.
No, I understand that. I understand that, but a lot of these wetlands do retain the water so that it does hold it back and retain it prior to entering,
Yes, sir.
the bay. And like I said, all the residents that are built along the bay and the runoff and everything
Those
else that
wetlands do
is
provide
impacted.
an important hydrologic function, and that's how the water gets back through the water table. Up naturally. And we certainly support that. And this particular development is not proposing to impact the wetlands other than minor access to the creek. But we don't see any potentially degrading the wetlands or the environmental portion.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your time.
Sure, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else in the audience who wishes to ask a question or make a comment about this particular project?
Good morning. I'm Scott Jackson at 232 Bayshore Drive, Freeport, Florida. Jackson, Jackson. My concerns were about this RV park was the use of Trout Creek. I see the proposed boardwalk that crosses the wetland and intersects at the creek, and maybe the applicant can speak more to what the use of that is. My initial concern is recreational boating. If it's going to be utilized by 45 occupants plus cabins at the RV park, if that's going to create a number of people using the creek and intersecting into the bay, if that boardwalk would be open up for that nature.
I don't think there's any portion of this proposal that envisions any kind of commercial rental operation there as part of this applicant can speak more specifically to your concern.
You're exactly right, Mac. This is for access, and there's a pavilion for viewing. There are no boat slips proposed for the creek area. There are no commercial rentals for watercraft or any type of boating. This is a pavilion where people that are staying here can go down and view the creek at the pavilion area.
David? Else wishing to ask a question or have a concern about this particular development? Audience, yes, sir. You come to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Larry Anchors, Anchors. About 7 decades ago, my family and my cousin's father and 2 other guys bought the 50 acres on the west side of the creek. And because of them, y'all have a job. If you drive through there, you'll see why we need planning and zoning and some other things. But it turned out that we sold one piece of it toward the end, right adjacent to the creek. And the person came in and put a road in, developed it, did whatever else. I get a call from DOP in Pensacola wanting to know if I'll come mediate between my family and the problem that was there. And we had to go back. I got my daddy to buy back the land that he had sold. We took the road down. We did everything else to all the standards of environmental standards. Our generation thinks a lot more of that than the previous generation did. But whatever happens, we'd like to have, we didn't know about this till the last minute, but we would like to be aware of any environmental studies that are done and just where we can review them also.
Yes, sir. There's a environmental assessment that is submitted by the applicant that's part of the public record. The public can dial into our Citizen Serve record system online and view any of the documents that the planning side gets to look at. It's all the same set of documents, and that's available electronically 24/7. If you'd like a printed copy of that, we have a possibly before you leave today, if you'd like.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Anchors, I think Bob has a copy of the whole staff report right there that he can just hand you.
Here, how are you?
Yes, sir.
My name is Joe Anchors, Anchors, and as my cousin said, my father and my uncle 50 years ago bought all this property and developed it, and I still live or have property and live there now. Of course, my concerns are that is the creek. We have, and I think the comment was made earlier, you don't know of any work being done on the creek, but there is some kind of work being done on the creek. I hear the tractors and one of my neighbors has had a comment where he was asked if they could come through and clean the creek. Now, I haven't seen it personally, but I will go back and look at it today. My concern is I'd like to know if we can get a flow chart of the creek, the route the creek makes all the way from Highway 20 to the bay, because I've seen the wetlands. I know the wetlands. My dad was involved with the wetlands. But I'd like to just see where the creek flow goes near the wetlands. And of course, my concern is, as everybody else that lives there, is the traffic and the things that's going to happen on Trout Creek. Thank you.
Sure. The actual location of the creek depicted in our staff report today with enough detail that we could answer that question?
It's shown on the site plan where the dock connects to it. We do have it surveyed, so we can add additional information there to further clarify, but it runs along the western portion of the property and then goes south to the southern property line. We did survey the creek, and I did want to state for the record, I'm not aware of any clearing on the creek, but I will also ask that question as well, because I do not own the property, but I'll ask as well. But I'm not aware of any clearing, so I'll ask the applicant as well if anything has been done.
Which one? Bob, if you could help him with that, make sure he can clearly see that.
You just gave it to me? Okay, great.
I think Bob gave him the future land use and zoning amendment package. They would need the development order application package, and that has the creek delineated on it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak about the future land use map change and the zoning change? Anyone on Zoom? I don't see any hands up on Zoom. Yes, sir. One more question?
On the county map, it shows Bayshore Drive continues across the creek and makes a due turn north and interconnects with the southeast portion of the RV park. And I just have a concern that could be future development coming down that road and intersecting back into our neighborhood. I don't know how they cross the creek and all, but it's just a concern. I don't know if the applicant can speak to that.
Just to make sure I'm clear, is the concern
Actually,
because our property does not go down?
I know, but if you look at the county map, it shows a little sliver of land that shows Bayshore Drive, and this is Bayshore Drive right here. Our concern would be that this somehow gets developed and connects to this community.
I was not aware of that. Our intent is not to connect outside of our property boundary, only to SR 20.
Anyone else with a question or comment about this particular application? We'll entertain a recommended motion.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve and move it to the appropriate planning commission for its public hearing.
Bob, we have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Second.
Second? Who made the second? Have one. Let's have one now. Someone like to second the motion?
Second.
We have a second. Now, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is approved to move forward to the next available planning commission. Item number 16, the Trout Creek RV Park major development.
Yes, Mr. Chair, as you stated, this is a major development application submitted by Innerlight Engineering on behalf of Trout Creek Village LLC, requesting to develop an RV site for rental purposes with a future land use of industrial extractive uses and rural residential in a zoning district of heavy industrial and rural village on approximately 10.34 plus or minus acres. The project number is in your staff report, and approval, if this moves forward, is subject to the approval of the future land use 20-7 that was just heard. I just wanted to make that statement. I do have it in the staff report. All comments are included. I don't have northern mosquito control, and I don't have the North Fire Department. I have talked to the North Fire Department, and I expected the comments last week. I'll recheck. Eglin Air Force has no comments. There's no code enforcement. Environmental has their comments. Floodplain has their comments, and their The engineering, technical review, and public works comments are included. These comments don't look like they would be something that the applicant couldn't address, pending the two that I haven't gotten for you, and I will get it as soon as possible. Could I enter this staff report into record? Mr. Chair? And I'm sorry, I mentioned earlier, I should have mentioned it. Can you address if there's a need or for a turn lane?
I will, and that's when you
Yes,
finish.
yes.
Yeah.
David is here to answer any questions you may have. Do you have any comments from me before I turn it over?
Any questions for Bob from the committee?
And I'd like to also
Hey,
stay.
Bob, this is John.
I'd also like to stay on this one and the previous one, that it is not a scrivener's error. I worked with David and the GIS people. It appears to just be an anomaly that was changed at the point, and obviously we supported David's effort to correct but it doesn't appear to be a bleed over or anything. It appeared to be an action taken.
Thank you, Bob.
And I believe somebody had a comment for me?
Yes, sir, this is Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
This project was initially assigned to South Walton. I was made aware of it on November the 20th. I did review it on the 20th and left comment on Citizen Serve. Everything looks good on my end of things.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. I had to publish these before, so I will add your endorsement to this going forward. Thank you. I knew I contacted you and we talked about it. I just didn't see it pop in. That's my apology.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other questions for Bob? Thank you, Bob.
David Smith with Innerlight Engineering for the record again. The turn lane was not warranted to the development. There's sufficient spacing between the traffic to allow vehicles to turn in and out. It's not congested where you're having to wait for the gap to be able to turn. And I do want to say for the record, we're coordinating with the Department of Transportation for the driveway connection permits to SR 20. So we are also having to illustrate that to the Department of Transportation as well. But I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have or any members of the audience have. But I think we pretty well covered everything when we were discussing the future land use and zoning change.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Anybody from the TRC have questions for the applicant? Haven't already addressed. Anyone in the audience would like to speak to this? Yes, ma'am. And if we could take just about 2 minutes.
I'll wait.
I'll give this to you when I finish.
Thank you, I can hear much better now.
I worked in high school for 20 years with behavioral challenged kids, so I'm very patient, trust me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Jane Blakeman, again, Blakeman, and it sounds like they're probably going to get their questions answered. Having previously lived in a neighborhood that had an RV park kind of in the backyard, and there was a lake involved, a lot of noise at night, so we kind of lost our privacy as far as quiet time goes. So I'm not against the proposal. I guess my question just is will there be fencing as far as noise ordinances, no pools going in? I mean, that's just my concern, is that it's going to elevate the noise in the neighborhood. That might seem minor, but I'm old now. And luckily, I'm partially deaf, so it's probably not so bad. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. David, could you address her concerns?
We do have a proposed swimming pool, but it's centered on the property. It's down by the wetland. It's not close to any property. Actually, the swimming pool is pretty much centered on the entire property. And, but we do have landscape buffers proposed along SR 20, also a large buffer along the eastern portion of the property. The wetland goes along the entire southern boundary, and specifically the southwestern portion of the property is all wetland that, you know, the RVs will not be located in that area. So we do have to adhere to the noise ordinance, so we can't be disruptive. But as far as the swimming pool, it is centered on the property, which I think is an ideal location for it to keep it away from the property boundaries specifically. So I hope to answer the question. Thank you.
David? Do we have any other questions or comments about the actual RV park proposed development? See no hands up on Zoom, see no one in the audience. Recommend a motion.
Mr. Chair, in light of Jonathan's comment and the applicant agreeing that these comments can be addressed and resubmitted, I would like to schedule this major development, or ask you to approve and schedule this major development order for the appropriate planning commission for its public hearing. Pending successful transmission of the staff or comments.
Thank you, Bob. As Bob mentioned, this is a major development. It will get public hearings at the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners once it reaches those two steps. We've got a recommended motion to approve, subject to satisfaction of outstanding comments, and move this to the Planning Commission. Have a motion at the dais.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brandy. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is approved to move forward to the Planning Commission, subject to satisfaction of any outstanding comments.
Thank you all.
Thank you, David. I believe that concludes our agenda this morning. We'll entertain motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.